Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Well, I have the pleasure of introducing our listeners to David BAKELMAN, who is the CEO of the Pap Corps Champions for Cancer Research. That's a very big title. David, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Anita, for having me in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you, every day that you're here in Boca Raton, which is a great place, because apparently you have done a lot of charities other places, you appreciate it, but you are astounded at what goes on here and the cooperation and the people who want to contribute to the Pap Corps.
It is pretty astonishing to see 21,000 members throughout Southeast Florida raising money to impact cancer research at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. So it is pretty amazing to see literally on a daily basis how we're saving lives through cancer research.
Well, the one thing I did when I knew you were coming, I looked up, because I had seen it before, but I can't pronounce the founder's name or why he's Greek, I have to assume.
Dr. Papanicolaou, yes, he was Greek.
Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah. He and his wife devoted their whole lives to cancer research. And about 35 to 40 years ago, he came down to the Miami area and was associated with the National Cancer Institute. And going back 66 years of the founding of the Pap Corps, a bunch of women, 4 or 5 women, saw that there was not enough funding for cancer research, so they started devoting money to cancer research in Southeast Florida, and at that time Dr. Papanicolaou and the Pap Corps came together, and that's why the organization was renamed the Pap Corps a number of years ago.
And is this a national organization now?
No, we're totally devoted to Southeast Florida. Our primary mission statement is really impacting cancer research and patients affiliated with Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center at the Miller School of Medicine at the University of Miami. We know that a $3.6 million solely devoted to one cancer institute, meaning Sylvester, can have a huge impact. Through the funds that we raise, we're able to see clinical trials that are started because of Pap Corps funding, of groundbreaking research that impacts not only the United States but throughout the world. So we are primarily focused on Southeast Florida because we know we can get the biggest bang for the buck with just funding one cancer research organization, which is Sylvester.
But what I'm sure now, especially with the internet, because I've been around a long time, and it was unfortunate that there could be a group doing something very good here and another group doing something over there or in Europe. But now, because of the internet, all of you could put your research together to help one another.
Yeah, that is very accurate. One thing I've learned in the year and a half since being the CEO of Sylvester, that all the cancer research centers throughout the country, but especially the university-based cancer research centers, all interact with one another and collaborate and share information. And I'm fortunate enough that I'll attend the Sylvester board meetings down at the University of Miami and hear about how the collaboration from Sylvester is impacting other cancer centers throughout the country. So the amount of collaboration, as you just alluded to, probably in the last 5 years, has really fast forwarded probably by about 400 to 500% over the last 5 years. It is pretty amazing to see the impact, to see different cancer centers, whether it's in California or whether it's in the Northeast or whether it's in the Southeast, really working together for the common cause of alleviating all forms of cancer.
So I like that word, alleviate. Are we going to alleviate it, and how soon?
That's a tough question. But one thing, again, I've learned since being in this position is that when you see the word cancer, there's probably more than 100 types of cancer, and that's one of the astonishing benefits of Sylvester being a university-based hospital. They're working on all types of cancer. So they might be able to, let's say alleviate lung cancer one day, but it still leaves the other 99 other forms of cancer in. But that's the collaboration even at Sylvester with the researchers and clinicians working together. It has an overlap on different types of cancer through the research they're doing.
I'm glad that you said that because, I do know a lot of people who've had cancer, and after chemo or after trials or whatever, it's all in remission, and it could be years. So I don't want to say we're curing cancer, but we really are keeping a lot of people from dying.
It really is, I think, not only with the chemotherapy, but the gene treatment and looking at the biological aspects of cells and working on that aspect of clinical research for cancer is really fast forward in the treatment and potentially cure of some type of cancers in the very near future, where 10 years ago we probably wouldn't be having this conversation regarding, alleviating some forms of cancer.
I'll tell you an interesting thing that happened to me. When you go to a doctor, they want you to tell them, your family's history, your heart, this. And when I said cancer, I said no, because I didn't really go back into my mind. And all of a sudden, I started thinking about my grandfather, who died from throat cancer, but we always said, well, he died because he smoked cigars.
Exactly.
But it still means there are people that smoke cigars that didn't get cancer, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think the impact of the PAPCOR dollars annually, we're donating about $3.6 million a year for research and clinical trials. But 10 to 15 years ago, the word cancer was a dirty word. If somebody had cancer, it wouldn't be talked about, and there really wasn't an appropriate therapy to prolong somebody's life. But again, as I alluded to a few minutes ago, is that the impact of gene therapies and other progressive treatments has really changed the word, knowing that cancer is not a death sentence as it was 15 to 20 years ago. But now, I think a statistic that I heard recently at a PAPCOR meeting was that 95% of anybody on an annual basis that's diagnosed with any type of cancer, they usually have a life expectancy that's triple of what it was even 5 to 7 years ago. So when it comes back to what the impact is of the PAPCOR, and not just on Sylvester, but every family and every individual that I know of has been touched by cancer. So it's something where we can champion together and really make a difference in alleviating that word as a negative word, or quite frankly as a death sentence. And again, that's what the PAPCOR is all about.
Yeah, that's well said. So my guest is David BAKELMAN, and he's the CEO of the PAPCOR Champions for Cancer Research here in South Florida. And I wanted, you keep talking, about the University of Miami, and I actually live down there, and I have symposiums, and I had there's a brain research organization, and I had them come as one of their speakers. And they talked about the brain and what they do to it. I mean, this is really, it's a donation of brain tissue.
Correct.
And so they are so good down there, and we're very fortunate to have them.
We are. Sylvester is noted as one of Florida's National Cancer of Excellence centers, but more importantly, an application to the NCI, National Cancer Institute, was submitted on September 23rd, a few months ago. So the application is currently being reviewed by the NCI, and then in January and February, NCI professionals and peers will be coming to Sylvester and at the University of Miami in doing a site visit. But what that means, the end result, is that in April/May of 2019, Sylvester should, if I was a betting person, receive the NCI designation. What that means, it'll position and leverage Sylvester in the top 5% of all cancer centers in the entire country, not just in Florida. And that's something, whether you're a cancer survivor, a family member, that we should be all proud of, that we have a cancer center that is literally in our backyard, whether we live in Boca or whether we live in Miami, that's really on the cutting edge of cancer research and is really making a difference in people's lives.
You have so many volunteers, and I know that I've talked to people and they say, I can't do anything for you because I'm too involved with, the PAPCOR, and they love it, don't they?
It's amazing. When I came down here and interviewed for the job, and I decided to take the job because I was fortunate to have it offered to me, I took the job for two reasons. Number one is for the opportunity to grow the organization dramatically in the next 3 to 5 years. And currently we have 21,000 members. We have 52 chapters in Southeast Florida. We host, chapters host 500 fundraising events a year, and that's how all our funds are raised to donate that money to Sylvester. But it truly is amazing that the passion of 21,000 volunteers that are making a difference. I've been in this business for 20 years, running charities throughout the country, and I've never seen the passion of not just a board of directors at each chapter, but every one of our 21,000 members that are giving not only their time, talent, and treasure, but some of these people donating 20 to 30 hours a week for 40 weeks out of the year. So it's pretty astonishing to see the dedication that people have to making a difference, not only in their own lives, but people that they'll never meet that they're saving.
I can hear your passion in your voice, and so I asked you, I hear an accent. Are you Bostonian? Somewhere.
Pretty
Okay.
close.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I can hear it.
I'm originally from Rhode Island, and I actually went to undergraduate and graduate school in Florida and lived in Atlanta for 20 years and lived in Philadelphia right before moving down, and I was just ready for some warm weather.
So, I see. Okay, so tell us some of the charities that you have been working in.
I ran a few organizations, but one was a organ transplant foundation that was centered in Atlanta, and in Philadelphia I ran a national organization that helped people raise money to offset their medical expenses for traumatic brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, and organ transplants. And I also ran a national organization dealing with homeless youth in 40 U.S. cities. And I feel I'm really fortunate that I've made my career and made a living by instilling in my value system in my daily work. And it's pretty amazing, whether it's a PAPCO or this homeless organization, that,
Right.
I'm really fortunate that I'm in the business of working with caring people, that we're in the business of saving lives. And not that many people can say that.
Sounds like you're such a caring person. I have to tell you that your face is almost now covered from Facebook Live because I have so many people listening, and this is wonderful. Someone must have told them this, or I guess they're on my line too, but I just have to tell you, it's really wonderful. Everybody, I think they all want to talk, but I'm not letting them talk.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not going to
Good
do
to
that.
know.
I'll let them add their, but no, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do that. Just let's let it go. Okay, I want to get into this now. So let's go into what you think. No, first I want to hear about Sylvester. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, a lot of people really haven't heard about Sylvester, and they're the best kept secret in not even Southeast Florida, but South Florida. So currently, there's one National Cancer Institute designated center in the state of Florida, and that's Moffitt in Tampa. And what designates an NCI designated cancer research hospital, a cancer center, is the impact on cancer research, the diversity of the population they're serving, not just racial and ethnic, but also economic diversity. And, I think similar to the PAPCO, Dr. Stephen Neimer is the director of Sylvester, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to spend some time with him, and we were leaving a lunch not too long ago, and Dr. Neimer stated, well, David, we have the same problem. And I said, what is that problem? He's like, nobody's heard of both organizations. And, the PAPCO, number one, is that we're very insulated. We have a strong brand and an affinity within our 52 chapters and 21,000 members, but outside of our members, nobody's really heard of the PAPCO, and that's one of the reasons why we're so grateful for you allowing us to come in.
Thank you. I'm so happy to have you here.
But it's similar to Sylvester also, is they haven't spent a lot of money on marketing and communications and PR and advertising. So not just a lot of people in Boca and Boynton and Deerfield Beach have not heard of Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, but it's also that way in Miami, and especially when you're associated with a health sciences department that is as big as the University of Miami's health science. Usually you get buried or you get lost a little bit, and again, from my experience, I see that has happened over the last 35 years at Sylvester, but I think they're doing a much better job of articulating the impact of cancer research, and again, not only on research, but the bottom line is that patients that are served at Sylvester, that word is starting to get out in the community. But I think more importantly, as I stated a couple of times, is that having that NCI designation that they should receive in April and May, that will be a game changer for Sylvester and honestly for the PAPCO, because we'll have a residual impact on that. But that's when the word will be getting out through radio, TV, print, social media, is to have somebody in your backyard that's ranked within the top 5% of cancer centers, not only in Florida, but throughout the entire country. But again, similar to the PAPCO, we haven't done a really great job, or even good job, of patting ourselves on the back and getting that message throughout the general community, throughout Southeast Florida. But I think in the next 18 months, it's not going to only be the best hidden secret for somebody if themselves a family member is unfortunate to develop cancer, but again, it's just for any other types of non-cancer treatments going to Sylvester and going through the University of Miami health system.
Well, because you've been on the radio show, I will commit to you that our Cure Symposium, it's called Cutting Edge Understanding Research and Education. We have one usually twice a year at FAU, and we have about 12 distinguished researchers, doctors. We've had scripts come in, and I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. And we will have someone from one of the doctors, maybe the doctor that you just spoke about, come and present. So that's what it's going to take. Let's go to Scripps, though, because we do a lot of work with them. Tell me, have you had any relationship yet with them?
I don't think so. I'm going to ask you
to
introduce me
right.
what exactly they do.
Yeah, well, Scripps Research, they have California, that's where it really started, and now they're up here in Jupiter. And they are major, they do research in all fields, whether it's cancer or Alzheimer's or whatever. Yeah. They're very powerful, and so it'll be something you can look them up when you get back to your office.
That would be great, because that's one thing that I've noticed since being in this community. Just because of diversity of a population, and so much of our population is seasonal, that a lot of times a collaboration between whether it's research entities or whether it's any type of social service or charity or educational process, collaboration between entities could get a little better. So I personally appreciate that.
I feel privileged to do that, because it's they have a lot of affairs up there. I mean, where they have they have lectures and all, but they're doing really cutting edge information things and scripts up there. And the other interesting thing is the major place is, of course, in California, but then they branched out here hoping they could develop a big research center up in Jupiter.
Yep.
And of course, it's always funding. Everybody's having problems with funding, and they need a lot of grants. But I think, because I'm a gerontologist and I've always enjoyed this, and I've always wanted to do something that's really important, and so we'll make that happen. But let's just I actually want to ask you a question. The hospital that you refer to, so someone has cancer, do they contact the Pap Corps? How does it work with people listening to us?
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of being a Pap Corps member. A annual membership costs $40, and a lifetime membership is $300. But one of the benefits of being associated with a Pap Corps is you usually get streamlined for a referral process. I've been told from people at Sylvester that sometimes that you have a 30 to 45 day wait to get an initial appointment, because they're so, not overwhelmed, but the number of patients that need an initial diagnosis or second diagnosis is overwhelming. So one of the benefits of being a Pap Corps member is that you get streamlined for initial appointment, or if you need additional diagnosis, you get streamlined to get an appointment through there. So, that $40 could be the best money ever spent.
Oh, absolutely. And I just looking at all these names and things. So we hope that everyone who's listening, now let's just talk about how they're going to get in touch with you, because that's really important. So we're going to have them go to the papcorps.org. That's CORPS. The PAP, P-A-P, Corps, CORPS.org.
That's correct. That's probably the best way to get in touch with us, and or you could call our main office and get in touch with us if you want to get involved. And there's numerous ways to get involved. Is that number one, to become a member. The second opportunity is really to volunteer at Sylvester, and also over the next 45 days we have an end of year giving campaign, and it's focused primarily, solely I should say, on melanoma. And melanoma is the most deadly form of skin cancer, and 1 American is dying per day because of melanoma. So every year we have a specific end of year giving campaign where we focus on a specific type of cancer. Last year it was pediatric cancer, and this year it's melanoma. So we're asking people, as they look at their charitable giving before the end of the year, look at the papco.org, as you just stated, our website, and if you're in a position to give a donation, that's great. And throughout the year, we can always use volunteers. We just opened up an office in West Palm Beach recently, and
where?
It's on Flagler Drive, and so we're trying to expand our presence outside of our 52 chapters, and we've never really put a primary focus on West Palm Beach, but we're starting to put a focus on there to really enlarge chapters, our members, and the impact of the funds we raise.
Yeah, we work with Cleveland Clinic, and they, of course, as you know, are in Weston, but they actually have a very large presence now in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And you ought to really, that would be important for you to. You have a lot to learn, right? You have a lot of people to meet. I don't mean learn, but you have to.
Yeah, and
right.
also the PAPCO made a 10-year, $50 million pledge, which was groundbreaking to Sylvester. And as part of the agreement with the University of Miami, what they're doing is renaming the PAPCO or the DFL campus after the PAPCO. So it's going to be called the PAPCO Campus Sylvester in DFL Beach. So the plans currently are in the next 3 years, which sounds like a long time, but it really isn't, to build a 4-story full-service cancer center in DFL Beach. So I think that will also change the dynamics of even going north, meaning in northern Palm Beach County, West Palm Beach, with residents in that area understanding the full impact of being associated with a true cancer research hospital, which Sylvester is, and again, the PAPCO funding them.
So down in Miami, are they then, you go to Jackson, is that where the University of Miami does with patients, or there's actually a hospital on the campus of the University of Miami?
There's actually a campus, there's actually beds. I don't remember exactly how many beds are at Sylvester, but within the University of Miami campus in downtown Miami, or I should say
Coral Gables.
There's a building that's a Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Building, and they actually serve and treat patients at that building. They have beds there, but also I believe there's 7 satellite locations, primarily north of Miami.
I think the Jackson Memorial Hospital, they have so much down there. It's a whole complex.
Exactly.
And I think that, because I've been there many times for other kind of people and things. But so what you're really saying, so eventually there may be some sort of a hospital up here in Deerfield. That's what you're working on.
That's where our funds over the next 10 years, some of our funds will be focused into building that campus, although the majority of our funds is for research. We're not going to go sway away from our mission.
Right.
But I think it's, as Sylvester, enriches their reach geographically, it makes sense to be up in, northern Broward, southern Palm Beach County. Yeah. And again, I think the vision and the goal is to build a full-service cancer center where if somebody needs a therapy, they don't have to go to Miami for chemotherapy or go to Plantation. So in the next 3 years, I think we're going to really see the dynamics of that change. But also, as you had just mentioned, Cleveland Clinic, the competition and the mergers, especially from northern hospitals, meaning in New York and Massachusetts, coming down here and co-branding,
right.
And because there's the demographics are, all the baby boomers are either retiring to the beach or to the mountains. So from a business perspective, it does make sense for these northern hospitals to merge with some of the entities in the south. But again, what differentiates Sylvester and the PAPCO is that they're right in that backyard and they've been here for 35 years.
No, you're absolutely right. The reason I even started the CARE Symposium was because I was invited to a lot of these symposiums from the Columbia and New York hospitals and Sloan Kettering, and they come down here because they talk about all their great doctors. They want to push them back up there. And I have known so many fantastic research, and I said, no, we're not letting that happen. We're going to have something right here. And so this is perfect for what you're thinking, because I believe that we need to do something that these people don't have to be taken up north. Because, when you think about it, cancer, you know what it's like. You have to go up north. You have to find housing. They ought to have it right here, right?
And I think it goes back to what some of our, theme over the last 20 minutes in our messaging is that why do you have to go back north for cancer treatment when you have some of the best clinicians,
right,
doctors, and researchers in this area that, regarding peer reviews, they're on par with any other cancer researcher or doctor, not just in the United States, but the entire world. But I think it goes back to the messaging and getting the word out about the Pap Core and Sylvester, because you're so right. I've heard since I've been here, a few of our members, and if their spouses or significant others, develop cancer, they'll go back to Sloan Kettering for treatment, and it doesn't make any sense when they should have the confidence of the research that's going on down here in South Florida.
I agree. So that's one of your hurdles. I've done.
Exactly.
From talking, I can feel this.
Yeah.
And so what you have to do is make the name known, and we have to give some good examples of some treatment that's really worked. I'd love to be able to work with you on this because it definitely requires this. I can see.
I
it
agree.
now.
You would be so great of an asset to us that we're going to take you up on your offer.
Yeah, we're
Without a
gonna.
doubt.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do that because there's so much money here, but when it comes to it, they're going to ask their friends. That's why having 21,000 members, you said,
Yeah,
that's
correct.
almost unheard of.
It,
I don't know of another organization, and these sound like people who are not just writing checks, but they're involved.
yeah, it's
So
a
do you have
beauty.
one? Excuse me. Do you have one big event where? How could you have all those people attend?
We have a couple of things. 52 chapters combined do 500 events a year, and some of them are small, like vendor boutiques. Other ones are $400,000 galas at a country club or community. So we have those chapter centric, but we try through the main office, which is in Deerfield Beach. We try to focus on a couple of things. As I alluded to, we have a end of year giving campaign that's focused on melanoma, which this year we're really fortunate that we have a $100,000 match from the Yas Family Foundation that's matching dollar for dollar. So we'll probably raise, in a matter of 60 days, probably about $400,000. And then we have a new event at Seminole Coconut Creek Casino on March 10th. It's a Dancing with the Stars event. So we expect a large attendance, not just from our members, but also non-members. So, one of the reasons that we're really fortunate to do so many events and we have the infrastructure and volunteers, because when you're doing events, it really helps us to expand the brand. And that's what it's all about over the next 3 years, is educating additional people outside of our 21,000
And we
members.
actually are going to go there for our Boomer Expo in January.
That's awesome.
That's what we do there
it's
at
a
the
great
casino,
place.
right? So thank you. I'm sure David will be seeing you.
Thanks, Anita. Thank you again.